Welcome to the Daily Space Weather, folks. We've got some interesting stuff to cover. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, smAsho, aka Dan, and we are streaming live to Twitch. And we're starting things out looking at the colorized magnetogram of the sun. And we don't always look at custom movies, but this one is interesting as we see various fields forming here. We see cycle 25 behavior up here, and you can tell because of the polarity, it's leading with a North Pole polarity on that area. This area down here is cycle 25 activity, and this area here is cycle 24 activity. So that's what we're talking about in the title. One sun, two cycles, one sun. 24 and 25 going on at the same time. A perfect example of the way we can tell the cycles based on polarity. So we could have multiple sunspots forming here. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see this area form into a sunspot, as it has increased in intensity quite quickly. And let's just take a look at our custom movie here. We made a custom movie of the sunspot and the rising region, and that's sunspot 2760 there. And there you can see the behavior of that. I'll let that loop for a minute. And we are coming at you once again from the smash bunker. Can you hear the rumble of the smash bunker? It's not our optimal place to be, but due to current events, we've decided to be in the bunker once again. I'm having technical difficulties here. I apologize. I don't know what the deal is. I'm trying to click record. It's not working. All right. Anyway, trying to download the video. Here are the fields. I'm going to fade to the fields here. There's 171 angstroms, and there's the current state of affairs. Again, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see that area right in the Earth-facing zone there, south of the equator, to be a sunspot, as it has increased in its intensity. And there's the view in 304 angstroms as well. Let's take a look at some more images, but first, please take a moment to press like and subscribe on YouTube. Did you see our The Diamond Anvil Too Hard to Smash conversation between Diamond of Oppenheimer Ranch Project and I? If you haven't checked out his channel, it's youtube.com/Oppenheimer Ranch Project. Great information over there. And not being a pearl clutcher is one of the benefits of interacting with Diamond. He will not be pathetic or a pearl clutcher. We're also on BitChute, and we've got exclusive content over there. Always mixing things up. Now, we are also on Twitter and various other social media. And again, putting exclusive content in each spot, laughing at the government, and so on. And let's talk about pearl clutchers. PPCs, pathetic pearl clutchers. So yesterday, I decided to go visit the Electric View's live chat about dead ideas, where they believe the electric universe theory is a paradigm, and it's a hilarious joke. Now, don't argue with them too much or you will be banned. And I tried to document that yesterday on Instagram as I was in the live chat and getting threatened with bans and mutes and who knows and who really cares. But let's talk about some quotes from yesterday's live chat conversation in the Electric View, where they ramble and babble about stuff without understanding any of the science, apparently. So anyway, I thought it would be funny to quote Neil Thompson, who can be quoted as saying, and get this, Neil's quote is, "The Earth is just a metal ball with some crusty parts on top." All right. I guess he might be oversimplifying there. What do you think? Now, they threatened to ban me, Michael McDuffie in particular, and he had some veiled threats there that he wanted to level also. He has many motives and even more intention. Now, I'm just trying to advance the science, unlike these guys, which are trying to advance the Bernie Sanders political campaign, even though most of these dudes aren't even in the U.S. They're Canadians who are campaigning for leftists in the U.S. They'd like a bigger government here, maybe to match their bloated, ridiculous government in Canada. So yeah, I just said I'll assume good intentions, and I don't think I got banned, although maybe I did. Also, I want to talk about Eugene the Philosopher's latest video, where I said Gareth over at See the Pattern talks largely nonsense. He talks a bunch of theoretical stuff, which is fine, but he hallucinates and sees things that aren't there. So I put a comment up on Neil's video, and I said, we don't see any of this electric universe nonsense, and most of the stuff Gareth posts is theoretical nonsense, and we don't see these electric interactions at the core of galaxies. We don't see them in empty space. We see electric interactions on the surfaces of stars, in the magnetospheres of stars and planets, and those are indeed electric interactions. None of that makes the universe fundamentally electric. There are vastly superior theories which hold up much better to the scrutiny of observation than the idea that stars are electric. Don Scott's model of stars, his model of stars, is completely implausible. It only works in a laboratory, and Markland convection is seen in environments and labs, local environments, not in between stars and vast distances of empty space. Now, Eugene disagreed about the Markland convection, but notice the way he agrees about everything else. So anyway, go check out Eugene the Philosopher. It's a YouTube channel. Excuse me, and let's talk about number 7. Since Electric View is completely ossified in their beliefs, and they do not listen to logic, reason, or observational evidence, they only cherry-pick information that supports their nonsensical views about stars being electric. So anyway, one of our most important missions at smashomash.com/forum is to not be ossified in our beliefs and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion, no matter how much they hate, talk smack, and want to ban you for having opinions different from theirs. And so, yeah, so if you join the Electric View, have fun. If you disagree with them, you very well might be banned, as they just flap their lips and bloviate without looking at the observations. They pick article after article that supports their theories. We're also on Facebook. And by the way, so is this image. Neil's Sausage Party, the Electric View. Also, try out Minds, folks. I implore you. Try out the future of social media, Minds.com. It's vastly superior to Facebook in that it lacks the censorship that Facebook has. It's not going to throttle your posts. It's not going to use ridiculous algorithms to try to steer you in a certain political direction. Minds.com, the future of social media. And we're over 650,000 views, despite only having 737 subs. Let's get back to looking at the local yellow dwarf. And we're doing this 1600 angstroms view for once, as there are some features that show up, and you can see a very dark umbra in the leading portion here of Sunspot 2760. It's going to be right around that area. You see this get dark right at the end there. You see that umbra popping out. So a significant sunspot there. Not a real big chance of big flares or anything like that. And let's get on to more stuff. The cosmology segment just includes me talking about how there's no cosmology segment today. I already covered that. So don't be a pearl clutcher and attempt to understand the physics of cosmology, not the nonsense of electric nonsense. Next, let's look at the KP index, which is currently down off of its highs of 3 to 2. So no geomagnetic unrest or anything going on. The 10.7 centimeter radio flux, which for you new viewers out there is a proxy for sunspot number, as this is directly proportional to sunspot number. The radio flux comes out of the corona of the sun, and it's a good way to measure solar activity. Besides sunspot number, one of the many, many variables associated with the way the sun operates, the heliophysics of it all, it's at 69 solar flux units, having come down from 71. So, but we see a bunch of activity rise, and I wouldn't be surprised at all to see the 10.7 centimeter radio flux rise as well. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. There's where stuff will be in 1 week on May 5th. And please leave a comment and let us know how locked down you are, whether you're sheltering in place, living in a cave in Tora Bora, or, you know, let us know. Leave a comment. Let us know if you're locked down, locked up, on the beach, freaking out because people are on the beach, etc. Let's look at where stars are. Here's the star chart for what's going on above my head, and I'm located in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, by the way, folks. One of the biggest cycling meccas on Earth. I'm very close proximity. I'm within riding distance of Trexlertown, Pennsylvania. And again, one of the largest cycling communities in the entire world is the Lehigh Valley. So come visit us this summer once governors stop doing idiotic things. And if you've got a low horizon before sunrise, you should see Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars all down there by the ecliptic. Next, looking at the GOES X-ray flux. We don't see any X-ray flares, but I'm going to just go out there on a limb and forecast one. We're going to see at least one B-class flare today, as there's quite a bit of activity, and it's right in the Earth-facing zone, so I think we'll see some B-class flaring today. That's my official goes out on a limb forecast. Not to be confused with the GOES satellites. So there's the GOES proton flux, and I'm now going to touch my face for your viewing pleasure. Please touch your face, folks, if you're at home, because you can touch your face. Just wash your hands, touch your face, wash your hands, touch your face, wash your hands. Don't wash all the skin off your hands or your face. Real-time solar winds showing us a phi angle of 300 degrees, having seen a bunch of fleeting coronal hole-like connections here. Solar wind density down to 3, as I learned to speak English, 3.76 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed. Solar wind density, 3.76 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed, 385. And I apologize for stammering, folks, but this is what happens when you do a live video. It's the dangers of live streaming. Oh my God! And I think it's time to vanish. Here's the Apodity neutron monitor. There's the last 30 days, and it looks like it's leveled off there, making it look more flat over the month. Barentsburg, quite flat over the 30 days also. Athens, not sending data last I checked. We're going to skip it. Moscow, same deal. Mexico City, still sending data. And we see a small downward trend over the past 30 days. And lastly, we're going to look at Oulu and DOMC Antarctica. There's Oulu, Finland. Flat. There's DOMC Antarctica. Tiny uptick. And DOMB Antarctica not sending data. If you want to look at it yourself, just look up Network of Cosmic Ray Stations. It's a Russian site. Don't worry about it, folks. It's all good. Next, we're going to look at transients real quick. We're going to look at what happened. What did I do? Jeez, oh whiz. All right, first we're going to look at Sagittarius A star, the core of the Milky Way galaxy. There's the transients from that. And it's in its normal range, pretty much. Next, we'll look at the Vela pulsar, which would be off to your right if you were looking at the galactic core, the galactic plane, whatever you want to call it. And there's the Vela pulsar, looking pretty normal range there also. A couple significant transients coming out of it recently. Next, we'll look at Crab Nebula, which is the most significant and most stable X-ray source in the sky, so stable it's used to calibrate equipment, like X-ray telescopes. And there's what's going on at Crab. And it's looking, let's see here, there's 0.02, whoops, there's 0.02. Crab's been actually a little bit low levels there recently. And lastly, let's look at one of the only known, if not the only known, point source for cosmic ray flux, Cygnus X3. And if you're wondering about its influence on the solar input, yeah, so are we. It's something we're going to figure out a way to measure. It's one of the most important parts of the mission, is studying Cygnus X3, massive X-ray binary, which has just come out of its quiescent state. Here's the 0.03 line, and that is located here in the graph. So we're expecting to see this to get into a more high energy state. Something to keep an eye on. And when I say ion, the pun's intentional, because most cosmic rays, just like the solar wind, are composed of hydrogen nuclei. Speaking of hydrogen nuclei, Here's the effect of a bunch of hydrogen nuclei impacting the geospace. So we're looking at 4 hours of the Geospace Magnetosphere movie, courtesy University of Michigan. And we have a very steady magnetohydrodynamic pressure here for the most part throughout the last 4 hours. Next we'll look at ground magnetic perturbations, coming a little closer to home here, seeing the way the induction of all those protons affects the Earth. And it's a polar excursion if you weren't aware, folks. Thanks to all you new viewers who've tuned in. We've got 2 North Poles. The net North Pole is somewhere east of Greenland. And the South Pole has left the Antarctic continent and crept into the southern Indian Ocean. GOES magnetometer is still looking spiky, and no surprise there. And guess what? We have not crossed into the North Pole-oriented portion of the current sheet yet, as far as I can tell. And the way you can tell is by looking at the Gong 2 data. So there it is. It's the top view ecliptic plane field plot, part of the National Sunspot Observatory. And you can see this data is 2 hours and 34 minutes old, and you can see this North Pole-oriented portion of the field here has now dropped back down. This all has to do with the active regions that we see, and we see at least three active regions right now. So it's a ramp-up of solar activity as we head back towards solar maximum. So here's a line of sight field plot, and this one shows you the B field there in blue. And that is the net field that the sun puts out, the interplanetary magnetic field. And we don't really see it doing very much there. It's maintaining its shape, as there's a bit of a tug-of-war thing going on right now with the active regions. And that Sunspot 2760 may be the last cycle 24 sunspot we see. Spaceweather.com agrees. So electrons have still not reached back into storm levels, surprisingly. And I'm still expecting the solar wind to drop down and the electron flux to reach very high levels again, as the last solar wind streams that we've seen were quite powerful, quite dense, and probably have a long string of electrons behind them. So here's what's going on around the F2 layer. This is the total electron content forecast, and these blobs of color here will show you things like GPS errors. So the closer to the dark red you're at, the more meters of GPS error you can expect to have, and that's why we show it, as I use a GPS regularly. How about you? Please leave a comment if you have a crazy GPS error logged on your ride with GPS or your Strava or even your Google Maps, perhaps. Next, looking at the GOES electron flux, we don't see high levels of electron flux here, and we are going to reach warning levels here eventually, especially as the solar wind speed and density keep ramping down. So expect that coming soon, unless we see a sudden increase in solar wind, as that's just sort of the way it works, folks, and it's not fully understood how it works. But seeing correlations in the data is super important in the realm of science. And now we're looking at the F2 layer, and it's quite wobbly again. It's been pretty wobbly for days here. You can see the way it's kind of bouncing back and forth. And this is the sort of thing that can create Schumann resonances. And there's a reason we don't cover Schumann resonances, and I'm not going to get into it on this segment, because it's the daily space weather, not some sort of crazy cosmology explanation video. So we see big charge disparities there, making it all the way up to 14 megahertz. Here's the latest image. And that's looking a little more normal there at 8 o'clock UT. Next, looking at pressure cells. So here's the current state of affairs with pressure cells around the world. We'll let this advance via the GFS forecast. And here's where things will be tomorrow around noon. I'll try to get it paused. There we go. There's where we anticipate pressure cells via the GFS forecast to be tomorrow around noon. And if you're wondering when we streamed the video, it was 4:14 a.m. Did you know where your pressure was? Next, we'll look at earthquakes. And we're just going to scroll up the list here. We're only going to highlight oddities, as we don't see anything over a 6 magnitude. The largest is somewhere in the 5 range. And there's a significant deep quake way out in the Aleutian Islands there, near Sitkan Island. It's a 4.1 magnitude at 103 kilometers depth. Here's a deep quake at Puerto Rico. Shout out to Peter Schiff. Do you watch the content, Peter Schiff? We're able to forecast stuff that even you're not able to. Here's a deep quake at Peru, as we see ongoing deep quake events on western South America. It's a 4.6 magnitude at 121 kilometers depth. So I think a 5.2 was the largest of the past 24, folks. Here's a 4.3 at depth at New Zealand. That one just west of the North Island, it looks like, or on the western portion of it. It's 205 kilometers deep and a 4.3 magnitude. Here's another deep quake at Alaska. That one closer to the mainland on the Aleutian Island chain, of 4.8 magnitude at 226 kilometers. Next, volcanoes. Klyuchevskoy is erupting, producing a 22,000-foot plume. Mount Aso, flight level 6,000 there. Popocatépetl, flight level 20,000 there as it explodes. Fuego showing some lava flows. Perhaps check out Volcano YT. It's producing about a 16,000-foot flight level. Revenador also exploding. Mild explosions. Just mild explosions, folks. And Sabancaya, continuous emissions of volcanic ash and gas. Please do not attempt to pole vault the caldera at Sabancaya. And we've moved on to the Covidiacy section, where I go, what are you doing up there? You're going to die. You're going to die. Of course, that's a misnomer, folks, because I don't know if you're aware. Viruses aren't even considered life. And I argued with my biology teacher back in 11th grade, I believe it was, about this, citing the fact that they have unique DNA or RNA, and that's why they should be classified as life. Because, well, what makes identical twins identical is that they have the same DNA. So, anyway. Welcome to the Neo-Renaissance, folks. Have you checked out smAsho.org? There's a link to our forum down there at the bottom, that little blue link there. And we're going to be making changes to the page soon, but you've got links to YouTube, to Twitter, Instagram, Minds, BitChute, all at smAsho.org. And we've updated the forum section about coronavirus. So here's what's going on. Let me just check out OBS here for a minute. All right. And I'll come back on screen. Apple and Google announced privacy changes to coronavirus tracing. That's right. You're going to be spied on via Android and Apple iOS spyware on your phone. So whether you can opt out of it or not, I have no idea. So read the article. It's all available at smashomash.com/forum. It's in the free-for-all forum, the coronavirus thread, which is pinned. Let's talk about Bill Gates. Bill Gates stating that China did a lot of things right. He defends the Chinese Communist Party and slams America over the handling of coronavirus. So that's the second article we've updated today. Perhaps have a read on that. That one's from Zero Hedge, who, by the way, has been banned from Twitter. I don't know if you're aware. Zero Hedge, the libertarian financial site, banned from Twitter. How you like them apples? Here's another one. No evidence. People with coronavirus are immunized as the WHO pushes for global vaccinations. Please leave a comment if you have an opinion on that. Were you aware that sunlight destroys coronavirus quickly? Coronavirus can live about 5 minutes in sunlight at room temperature, and it's quite fragile, just like your health, especially if you're unhealthy. So, by all means, focus on your respiratory health. Go out and get some sun. Make sure you get enough vitamin D if you're locked in a cave like Johnny Depp. Make sure you're getting some vitamin D, because you really don't want to get rickets. Make sure you get vitamin C, because you really don't want to get scurvy and have your teeth fall out during a global pandemic. Let's continue on. By the way, yesterday's video got demonetized. And shout out to Diamond at the Oppenheimer Ranch Project. Here's the image that I was telling you about, Diamond. It's my AmbiHost logo. So this is a construction management, construction referral service primarily. I mean, I would do hardwood floors if anybody needed a job done, especially refinishes, especially like, high-end stuff. And now Diamond, for you viewers out there, Diamond has a shungite pyramid it looks exactly like this. And I just thought it was weird as I made up this AmbiHost logo several years ago, back in maybe like 2006, 2007 maybe, something like that. And I am frozen. Here we go. So, about Johnny Depp, here's a quote from his insane video that he put up where he looks like a crazy person. And if you're holed up, check this out. This is hilarious.
Hi. Everyone. Hello too.
Hi everyone. Hello. Anyway, he says it's time to open up a dialogue, and I think it's time to open up a dialogue about mental health. Here's his latest video on Instagram, and please leave a comment if you think this isn't crazy. So, he's back in the cave, he's playing this crazy music, and then he's doing all kinds of things. I think he's demonstrating what you can do while you're locked down. I think this shadow box filter or whatever he's doing, maybe he has a real shadow box there. I think that's some sort of an essay on the fact that he doesn't like Instagram. And he's showing you a tiny tidbit of his life or something. I don't know. It's crazy. He folds a bunch of pieces of fabric. He folds a bunch of pieces of fabric and then like swipes them on the floor for some reason. I don't know if he's making masks or what to do there. He swipes one on the floor. I don't know what's going on with it. Some kind of therapeutic origami or something. It's crazy. And so if you haven't checked out Johnny Depp's Instagram, check out Johnny Depp's Instagram. I mean, Johnny, please be careful. You've got 85 candles lit, and it looks kind of dangerous. Seriously, Johnny, feel better. Now, one of the things that I like to do when I'm locked down because the government said so, is to watch terrible movies. One such terrible movie is a crazy, crazy film about the mighty raping Power Rangers. Some idiots who rape a woman at the beginning of the movie, and then they get their butts kicked. It's from 1993. It's completely available on YouTube. It's one of these terrible, terrible movies that's so bad that it's good if you can avoid the musical montages. So it's got too many musical montages. It could probably be cut down to like an hour. It's an hour and 22 minutes. And man, oh man, is it full of nonsense. It's got some real martial artists and some fake martial artists. And shout out to Good, Bad, or Bad Bad. Brian Shilligo and Kyle Hinton figure out which terrible movies you should watch and which ones you might not want to watch. Good, Bad, or Bad Bad, a fantastic channel. That'll give you some sort of a basis to watch these ridiculous movies. Here's part of their review on High Kicks.
It's completely fucked because the left channel is nothing but dialogue and the right channel is nothing but sound effects.
So this movie has all the sound effects on the right channel and all the dialogue on the left channel. Now, another movie besides High Kicks 1993 that I would recommend you can watch on YouTube is American Hunter 1989. This movie is total nonsense. It's action almost entirely nonstop except these boring helicopter scenes. But this movie is totally over-the-top, insane, ultra-violent, late 80s action at its finest. Here's a clip of this. Anyway, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's just nonsense, nonstop, from start to finish. American Hunter 1989. If you want to watch a bad movie that's so bad that it's good, highly recommend American Hunter 1989. It is fabulous. There are stunts that look like people get killed. I mean, there's this one where we hope it's a dummy falls through some scaffold down multiple stories. There's a stunt where a car flies sideways into a building, and you can see extras are getting hit with debris. It's incredible. You're like, this could never get made now, and indeed it couldn't. Let's move on to data, now that we're done talking about what to do during lockdown. Don't lose your mind, folks. The world's not ending. Not today. Some of us are out there preventing it. And here's the Eastern Jets. It's the Eastern Jets. Here are the Western Jets. This is winds at 25,000 feet flight level, folks. And you can see extreme meridional jet stream flow, which is now the norm and not the oddity. Next, we're looking at water vapor maps of Europe and Africa. There are those. Next, water vapor maps of the Far East and Oceania. There are those. And here's me. vanishing once again. And please leave a comment if you're viewing the video, whether you're on Twitch or wherever you might be. And now I'm messing up the stream because I'm trying to bring up my docs. And yeah, there's the chat. Again, if you're viewing live on Twitch, please leave a comment while we're creating the video, as you could then affect what we do. And before I move on to the U.S. lightning maps, or lightningmaps.org in general, it's about time for you to be out of here. So, Shana, na 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 na, hey hey. Later. I wasn't scared on January 23rd, and I'm not scared today. Here's a U.S. Doppler radar map. And it looks like it's going to be soggy and gross out there. Kind of cold, too. And we're expecting it to remain cold into May. Here's the U.S. water vapor map. And you can see the jet stream is blowing a bunch of cold air down on us. And it's going to be hanging around and staying cold in the northeast. And I just want to check out this convergence here over Ohio. It's pretty interesting. A north-south V-shaped high-pressure zone there. And you can see that very strong convergence happening there. That dry mass of air pushing down across Pennsylvania throughout the day today. And let's move on to thank the Smash team for tuning in. It's a collaborative effort. We appreciate your comments, your links, whatever you want to talk about. Please don't forget to share on your social media and help us to, increase the viewership, etc. I would also remind everybody that throughout the rest of April, all of the Patreon posts and the Subscribe Star posts are entirely public. So if you want to see what the benefits of being a patron or a Subscribe Star are, sign up. We always put up public posts anyway, but we have tiers. So if you'd like to pay us a couple bucks, check us out on patreon.com/smashomash and subscribestar.com/smashomash. Again, all posts public throughout April. Next, we're looking at the intensity gram to see how many sunspots we have. We have a very high-res view here, and you can see we've got sunspot 2761 is legit. So there's a cycle 25 sunspot and a cycle 24 sunspot at the same time. This active region up here, no umbre yet associated with that. You can see where that is. It's right here. I have a feeling that's going to be sunspot 2762. So we're going from 0 sunspots to quite a few, I think. And here's the colorized magnetogram. So again, we've got sunspot 2761 and possibly sunspot 2762. This one's looking pretty strong, actually. And the umbra associated with 2760, this area right here, has just gotten very dark. So these are looking like legit sunspots. We love being able to see down to the photosphere. And yeah, so I have a feeling this is going to be 2762 also. So lots of stuff going on. We like seeing some activity. Let's look at 94 angstroms here, as this one takes 10 images per minute instead of only 2. So quite a bit of activity kicking up there, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Allow me to vanish once again. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink, and if you do, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back. And let that nonsense not be blowing smoke up your you-know-what.